Hey everybody, One Wisdom here. It is Wednesday, December 11th, 3:40ish in the morning. Just introduced Mega Ram Spyro and Dark Spyro. Actually going to come in now. I am scanning this area looking for him, and I am not seeing him. He's got to be here somewhere. Gonna introduce Slobber Tooth. I've got Dark Slobber Tooth handy. Worst comes to worst, we'll just introduce him and switch our order. I think I'm having to move like 20 Skylanders here. I think Slobbertooth is probably in this Power A case. That's where he's at. He's right beside Scorp. So what I'm gonna do, I'm kind of going down the line doing the starter packs. We got the Wii U one done. Obviously the Dark Edition starter pack for the console. Special in the sense it had two extra characters, that being Dark Spyro, Dark Mega Ram Spyro, Series 3's Dark Spyro, whatever you need to call them, and Dark Slobbertooth, which was really cool. I'm a huge fan of the Earth element. You should know that by now if you've watched anything I've done Skylander related. Really interested not only in Rubble Rouser and Doomstone, but Scorp and Slobbertooth. So I've actually used Dark Slobbertooth quite a bit in the playthrough already, so I don't know that standard Slobbertooth has ever been on the portal. He was, like I said, sitting in one of my Power A cases right beside Scorp there. Got him in my hands. He's a very impressive looking creature, if I don't say so myself. That said, we're going to back out of here. We're going to pull Dark Spyro. We'll actually get to see Slobbertooth come in on the portal of power in all his Earth glory.
Slobber and Slobber.
Really fun character in my opinion. I guess he has done something, maybe like one battle or something with my nephew. He's got 5. That said, what we want to do, we'll go ahead and kind of get him over here, just so you can kind of get a better view of him. Pay attention to what you see here. It'll change obviously when we get regular Slobbertooth in the mix. Not terribly slow for 35. He's faster than you would think. Primary attack, I kind of got the horn swipe going, 35 damage. A lot of people think the primary attack is a tail swipe. It's actually not. If you look at, pay attention to his tail, it's the one closest to that sheep behind me, and you'll see it's his head that actually just kind of goes left to right. The tail comes into play, but not until later. Secondary attack, this one's really cool. He actually bites, as you can see. He's doing 40 damage there, so 35 and then 40. We can't eat the sheep, but it's really cool. We'll just cover that here as we come into the menu. What we want to do is take a look at the Skylander tab. We're going to look at the stats.
I need to crunch these numbers.
Note that plus 30, you say, what's the deal? He doesn't have a hat on. This is Wednesday, so the game gives us plus 30 maximum health. So he's realistically box stock, level 1, nothing done, 300, which is pretty salty in terms of health. Speed, not setting the world on fire at 35. Armor is 30. That is pretty high to begin with. As you can see, there's a lot of wiggle room there. Critical hit 2. You know, it is what it is. And then right there, 25 on the elemental power, so not giving us credit obviously for adding him and, you know, Dark Slobbertooth at the same time. I'm gonna go ahead and back out of there. We're gonna take a look at his upgrades. Horn swipe, this is what I showcased to you. The primary attack did roughly 35. Press Y to perform a head swipe that damages nearby enemies. Now this one's really cool. Can't really showcase it well outside of the fact it does about 40 damage initially. Called Chomp and Chuck. Press A to grab enemies with a slobbering mouth attack. But listen to this part. Press A to spit them out. He actually can regain health doing this. It's kind of cool to kill a Chompy with the, you know, fact of putting them in your mouth and then use that dead Chompy to spit and damage another enemy. First purchased upgrade, Unstoppable Force. This should give you a precursor of how awesome Slobbertooth is going to be. Hold Y to charge forward a short distance with a powerful headbutt attack. This is essentially like a charge attack for an Earth Element Skylander. Really, really cool. Tough Hide. This is a big deal. It's not even tied in with a path. It's not a soul gem. It's not a wow pow. It's just right here for the taking. Gain bonus armor, skin as tough as nails, and rocks mixed together. That's awesome. That's a big deal. Going to make this Skylander perform that much better for everyone, including in particularly rookies and novice players. Next one is Shockwave. Press X to do a tail slam on the ground, damaging all nearby enemies. He's kind of got the dinosaur prehistoric vibe going on. This ties in perfectly with that. Final purchased upgrade before we have to select a path, Loogie. Hadn't heard that word in a long time. Press A after holding an enemy with a chomp attack to spit them out and deal increased damage. So, basically just kind of, like it says, does increase damage. Loogie kind of gives away the age of the people making the characters and, sitting there collaborating about what to call the upgrades. So, that said, sounds like they're from my generation, so pretty cool deal. Works well with his slogan as well, which is of course clobber and slobber. Now we get to a point, you basically got two choices here. This top path is going to be the food fighter path. Obviously that's going to address what he can do, with chuck and chomp, everything along those lines. Snot Rocket is where that begins. Enemies hit with a spit attack will be covered in goo and take damage over time. Next up, we've got Om Nom Nom. Press A to eat enemies. Enemies being eaten will give more health back after a short time. This is something you usually only see with the Life Element Skylanders, Stomp Smash, Camo, Stealth Elf, of course with Silver Regeneration. Gonna be really, really formidable to have that with the Skylander of the Earth Element who has bonus armor. So, very cool there. You would expect to see, in my opinion, you would have expected this on one path, the armor on another. Very cool that we got that armor in the base upgrades. Last one down the food fighter path, Feast. Hold A to pull enemies into a chomping mouth attack. That's kind of akin to Jetback, it looks like. Maybe it's just going to be a close range, like suction effect, if you will. Sounds pretty interesting down Food Fighter. Now, if that's not your thing, maybe you're not a fan of Dave Grohl or something, you can go with the Seismic Tail Path. Begins with Fling. Press X to do a tail slam on the ground. Press X again to fling all nearby enemies into the air. This is almost like you're so powerful you're turning the ground they're standing on into a trampoline. Very, very cool. Next up, Weight Gain. Gain a new spiky tail, causing shockwave attacks to do increased damage. So that's kind of addressing that. Interesting thing here, if you note before we go into this one, this isn't addressing Hornswipe. That one's basically left in the dust as is. This is actually kind of one of those things where we're upgrading secondary and tertiary. So pretty cool there. However, Earthshakers, where this Seismic Tail Path concludes, hold X to continue tail slamming the ground, causing waves of rocks to spread out and damage enemies in the way. This reminds me of Crusher, when he hits the ground with a hammer and you kind of send out, the blades or something. So, pretty cool there. Now the Soul Gem is Iron Jaw. Gain an Iron Jaw, causing all head attacks to deal increased damage. So, right as I was telling you, the upgrade paths address the secondary and tertiary attacks. Then we have this one. I don't know for sure. This is a blind playthrough. Obviously, I don't have any upgrades for this guy or Dark Slobbertooth, mind you. I'm thinking Hornswipe and Chomp and Chuck are probably both going to benefit from it. So, pretty interesting. Again, something I've learned along the way. I believe Slobbertooth's original name, or at least in development or prototype phases, was Lockjaw. That makes sense here with kind of what you're seeing right there with Iron Jaw and the Soul Gem. So, dilemma for most people, which path to take. Not an issue for me because, as I told everyone or suggested, pick up both, or at least go with the Dark Edition and then get Slobbertooth, regular form. I will be able to take Dark Slobbertooth down one of these paths and then Slobbertooth down the other. Tempted to take Dark Slobbertooth down the Seismic Tail and then let regular Slobber Tooth kind of take this food fighter. I'll figure that out probably after we get these base upgrades done. Let's go ahead now and take a look at his quest. Again, the first 6 basically all the same, even though that 6th one has an earth icon. Defeat 1,000 enemies, eat 15 pieces of fruit, don't lose health in a non-story mode, 10 PvP, reach level 20. I actually like that one. Again, if you don't like Slobber Tooth's primary and secondary or base upgrades, this quest that you have to complete encourages you to purchase everything, and that may change your feel for certain Skylanders. So keep that in mind. Right here, this to me should just be a standard trophy because every character has it. Costs 7,500 elemental bonus damage. Now, Earth specific, we've got Savior of the Land. Free the Terror Squid in twisty tunnels without switching Skylanders. That sounds interesting. I've heard good things about twisty tunnels. I have not played that yet. Unearther. Use shovels to dig a total of 25 holes. This reminds me of like washbucklers catch 25 fishes. Have not had to use a shovel yet either. So now, specific to Slobber Tooth, hungry like a hippo. Swallow 25 enemies. That's not going to be a problem. So we'll back out of here, back out of there. That is pretty much it for Slobber Tooth. Does pretty nice damage as is box stock. Not incredibly slow, even despite the 35 that might make you think that. Like I said, my favorite thing, he looks very promising. The armor's tied in from the beginning with the base upgrades. He'll be able to regenerate health. He's got what looks like a charge attack in, what was that one called? I think Unstoppable Force. That was like the very first upgrade. That's going to be really, really neat. Just one of those deals, you know. I'm excited to actually have the Dark Slobber Tooth available to explore both paths. That way I don't have to rack my brain unnecessarily. Probably still will, just trying to select which one to take which down. But bottom line, I'm excited about him so far in the playthrough. Used Dark Slobber Tooth, as mentioned quite a bit. He has performed very well for me. That said, we're going to come back in, introduce Dark Slobber Tooth. His stats, at least the health, will be skewed a little bit, not just because of Wednesday, but he's leveled up a few times, so keep that in mind. But he does begin 300, should have the same base stats as Slobber Tooth. Unfortunate, the Dark version, in my opinion, didn't have a slight bump somewhere. But it is what it is. Main thing is we've got both of them. It looks like a very promising character. So, as always, thanks to you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, circle me on Google+, whichever you prefer. Again, make sure to check out the blog, oneofweezem.com. I'm going to have some very cool stuff coming there. You don't want to miss it. That said, we're going to come back in here. I guess like intro number 10 will be for Dark Slobber Tooth, so stay tuned for that. We'll kind of showcase the difference between the two and take it from there. But until then, we will catch you here shortly.